can show you butthurt. Welcome to 44 and 1. I'm GVizzle. This is Tempest. And today we're talking about some random stuff and things. We are going to start with a headline. Sorry, it's not random stuff and things. Did you know, sir, that in Kansas City, Missouri, Geico has to pay a woman $5.2 million because she caught an STD in her former partner's car?
What?
Yep. So she contended that the man caused her to be infected with the STD despite being aware of his condition and the risk of unprotected sex. How does this become an insurance settlement?
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. Thank you for asking. They found that because they were in the vehicle was now directly caused or directly contributed to the HPV infection. So his car insurance has to pay her $5.2 million.
That must have been a really fucking good lawyer.
I mean, it does exploit a loophole in the insurance policy, which I'm sure they like wrap that shit up tight afterwards. But it's kind of a clever way to go about it, because I think back in the day, you would have just like sued the guy.
Yeah.
If he didn't have money, you'd have a moral victory, but no fiscal one. But yeah, she's getting $5.2 million.
But the other question comes into it, though, like if she went into it knowingly and willingly and did it unprotected, knowing that there's a risk, then how? Well, I don't understand.
She would have known. I mean, they had unprotected sex. So in her mind, the only risk was potential pregnancy. Not, I mean, you always have to consider that there would be a risk for an STD, but you kind of hope that your partner would disclose it, because it is illegal for him to knowingly have sex with her. Knowing that he had
as if he knew he had it.
He did know he had it, which is why. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
Well, they're talking. Let's keep it on the topic of intercoursing. Yeah.
You also have an interesting news headline.
Yeah, of intercoursing. Well, I don't think there was actually any intercoursing taking place here, but a Tory MP has facing allegations of spiking drinks of other men, and there's 4 counts over the last few years where one bloke woke up to find his nipples being licked.
No. And why do people think they can get away with that kind of shit? I mean, especially a public figure. Like, do you not think it's going to come back and bite you in the ass? And what the fuck is he doing?
Yeah. Well, the other thing that it gets even like just more intense, because you would have thought there's like probably some abuse or power going on, that like he's doing it to like young men or he's doing it to interns or something. No, 2 of his victims were fellow MPs. Yeah, one of them was the opposition.
Do you think it's like a weird power move? Right? So like if he's opposing him, I mean, the plan, I guess, was that the victims would never be aware, but then he would know, like sitting in the house of whatever you call it, looking across the room at the opposition, he would be like, bunch of nipples in my mouth, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was just kind of like a weird power. I mean, typically assault is, but in this case, maybe it is
maybe in that one case, I don't know, because there's a lot of this that we don't know about his motivations. But it seems that one of the people he did it to was a fellow Conservative MP. That was the nipple licking time, was a fellow colleague.
How do you work with someone after this?
I know, right? Jesus Christ.
Because presumably he hasn't been fired, because when they're in that type of position, they rarely ever do.
I think he had the whip suspended, and I think he's been suspended from the Commons.
He needs to be fired and arrested and charged. Yeah.
Oh, allegations an MP had used a date rape drug first arose in the sexual harassment scandal in 2017. And then they found out through this that other stuff has happened. 2 Tory MPs have also been accused of proposing a threesome to a minister's girlfriend. So a top-level Tory MP.
Fuck.
Yeah. These guys are fucked. Like, they're so insane.
Like, okay, if I'm understanding the dynamic here, that would be like me and a coworker of mine going to our boss's wife and being like, hey,
yeah,
how about it?
Yeah.
That was like, yeah, 2 people agreed that was a good idea. That they should do that.
Yeah. It is bizarre.
We should? I don't know. Do you think we should? Yeah, this is the best idea we've ever had. Okay.
Yeah, let's just do it.
High five.
Yeah. And then the thing is like, Boris Johnson's got this plan at the moment where he wants to have the ministerial code of conduct rewritten because these guys get basically kicked out of the Commons and can't attend because they've broken the ministerial code of conduct. So he now wants it rewritten so that only their own party can investigate these claims.
No.
Exactly. And they're going to get away with it because they have a majority.
Oh, that's shady as fuck.
Yeah. And his own Priti Patel, one of his own ministers, she's had like years of allegations against her about bullying, and it's been found out that she's a bully and like horrifically bullying her employees, and she's still in the Commons, broken the ministerial code of conduct, and she's still a minister.
That's
they
bullshit.
Don't give a shit. Yeah, they don't give. I'm honestly, this country's falling apart. These people are evil.
That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Some scream for ice cream boycott after Kawartha Dairy employee's freedom vehicle leaves a bad taste. So, an employee's vehicle of this company was seen in the parking lot with what people thought were Fuck Trudeau flags on it. It turns out they were flags that say, "We are the fringe," which is still in support of the trucker convoy. Okay. The people were tweeting, "Is this what Kawartha Dairy stands for? Are you a proud supporter of the fringe minority? Do you want kids seeing this profanity?" Which there was no profanity. They were just seeing the wrong flag. And then people said they would take their business elsewhere if the company didn't step up and do the right thing. So they were going to boycott an entire company because an employee who was allowed freedom of his own political leanings works for the company and had a "We Are the Fringe" flag on his car. Or her car. I don't know if it was male or female.
On their own private car.
On their own vehicle. So that, like, I show up to work, I park in my company parking lot, I've got like a bumper sticker or whatever. People see it and they decide to boycott my company. They called, they tweeted, they put pictures of it on social media, and they expected now Kawartha Dairy now has to do something to address this because they're going to lose business because an employee is exercising his freedom of his own political leaning.
That's appalling. And then I bet they put his number plate up as well.
The pictures were I only saw one was at kind of an angle, but they were called. This assistant manager was getting phone calls about people who were just driving by and seeing this vehicle in the parking lot.
Oh my God. Like, why do people care so much about that? It's bizarre.
People are allowed to believe what they believe, right? Like, it's their car. They're not out. They're not driving a Kawartha Dairy ice cream truck with like these flags on it. It's their car.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like, it can't be one rule for one side and one rule for the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But people were tweeting like, "You want kids seeing this profanity?" What children are working at the Kawartha Dairy factory?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
and it's not even profanity.
But they thought it was.
Yeah.
But it's like, then talk to the employee because they're the ones who have it on their car. So if it did say Fuck Trudeau and you didn't want it to say Fuck Trudeau, although I don't think people really care because there's like a house I walk by that has a massive Fuck Trudeau flag. But if kids are seeing it, like, I started swearing when I was in the 3rd grade, right? Like, you're not protecting.
Yeah, exactly. And most of my swear words I picked up from my own mother anyway. So
I'm bothered. Like, I didn't stand for the trucker convoy, but I'm bothered that people decide that companies need to take action against their employees because they have different politics than they do.
New York congressional candidate Carl Palladino, Republican, stokes outrage with praise for Adolf Hitler.
That's a tough sell.
Yeah. And the thing is, he basically said what we need now is Adolf Hitler's the kind of leader we need today. We need somebody inspirational. We need somebody that is a doer, has been there and done it.
He couldn't have thought of, there's not like a single other leader he could have thought of that had that same impact, like
exactly
in a positive way. Like, there's not a single other inspirational person he could have thought about.
That's the first one that popped into his head.
He's thinking about inspirational leader. Genocide. What's more inspirational than that?
Yeah. You get shit done. And it wasn't even Hitler that did all of the stuff. Like, if we're going to get technical about it, Hitler just did the shouting.
Don't get technical about it. Hitler was just the spokesperson?
Yeah.
Every brand needs a mascot, I guess.
Yeah, with the toothbrush mustache.
Word for Charlie Chaplin. I mean,
Exactly.
I give a show 3 episodes.
Yeah.
If it doesn't capture me in the first 3 episodes, then I don't. And there are some shows that I've seen that, like, I'll watch the first season and really enjoy the first season, and then by the time the second season rolls around, I'm like, nah, I'm okay. Like,
Yeah. So
I'm good.
yeah, I was this close to losing interest in Ozark just because it had been so long. But then the first episode got me interested again.
Yeah, that's why I like binge watching shows. Like, typically what I'll do, even when I record things on our PVR, I think we found our topic. Even when I record things on like our PVR, I need to have like 4 or 5 episodes kind of like locked and loaded so I can watch those to keep me engaged until they come back.
Yeah. Because especially with the pandemic and that, there was such a big gap on some things that you just didn't care anymore. You weren't invested in it.
Yeah. Like, I can't remember. I think there were a couple of shows that I started watching, and then it took forever for them to come back, that when they did, I was like, I kind of forget what's happened in the first season, and I don't know that I care enough to go back and rewatch that first season. So exactly. I'm just going to pretend I never watched it at all.
And the recap doesn't help.
So the Blacklist I've been watching since the very beginning because I love James Spader. I love him. And although as Ultron, that was not my favorite Marvel movie, but his voice as Ultron definitely worked. That was like the best part of that whole movie was his
Ultron
voice.
Was cool.
But there was, so during the pandemic, like, I don't even know if they took an extra long break or they just took a break, but when my PVR started recording it again, it was recording on the wrong channel, so I wasn't getting the first. So I missed like the first 3 or 4 episodes of the season. So then I caught up and I was able to get it recorded, but then I haven't watched it because I want to catch the first 3 or 4 episodes. So now I've got like 20 episodes on my PVR, and just the effort of trying to figure out which ones come first and which ones come next, I'm kind of like, maybe I don't need to watch this.
Yeah. It's just too much work. There's no point.
It is. Or like I do it to myself because I want to have like the season there so then I can just kind of watch it as I go through. But then I see it and I'm like, that's 20 episodes. It's 20 hours. It's a long time. Like, what the fuck else I got going on? But like, it seems like a commitment. Like when someone recommends a show to me and I go onto Netflix and see that it's more than like 4 seasons, I'm like,
no.
I'm not looking for that type of relationship right now.
Yeah. And especially if it's more than like 10 episodes a season and it really turns into work.
Yeah. Like Breaking Bad, I watched once it was all over and it was on Netflix. And when it was like confirmed that it is a 5-season show, I was like, that I can commit to. Because I watched Supernatural from beginning to end, but it was originally intended to be a 5-season show. But then they just kept bringing it back. And then it was 15 seasons. And every season, my husband and I are like, we can't do this anymore. We can't. But we just kept watching it.
Like Groundhog Day. Oh my God.
Yeah, we just couldn't stop. Every time we'd watch it, we're like, oh, this wasn't a really great episode. Maybe we should just stop watching it. And then the next episode we'll record and we're like, Supernatural? Yep. So we don't.
It's called the Sunk-Cost Fallacy. You really put in so much time, you might be able to kind of get some investment out of it still, get some return.
And you have to see how it ended. And they still had like some very clever episodes. Like they did an episode with the Scooby Gang where they were cartoons, which was, it's like when like the episode of Angel when they were all Muppets. Like I live for that kind of shit.
Yeah. It's that Fringe episode. I was going to watch it last night, but I didn't start. What am I talking about? Anyway, Fringe episode, and Walter is telling what's her face's niece about a story, and it's basically Dunham is like this like 1930s detective and stuff, which is all dressed up and everything.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Where I have not seen her acting in anything else since that show.
Yeah,
I mean, maybe it's the type of stuff that I just don't watch, but like I don't. Like you see people on TV, you're like, oh, it's that person.
I've seen her in 2 things, but I haven't. Like, she played a cameo role in The Pacific, where she played some actress. And then she has the leading role in Secret City, but I've only seen the first episode.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it looks like it'll be quite good, but I just had other stuff to watch, so I didn't commit to it.
Okay, so I'm glad she's still working because she's a fine actress. And
yeah, I thought she played Dunham so fucking well.
Yeah, she did.
Yeah.
And Walter,
Yeah.
I fucking love that guy. And then he was in, I think I told you about, there was a video game called LA Noire.
Yeah.
And they captured the voice actors so perfectly with their images that, like, there was a guy who was in the game that I had never seen him in my life before. And then I was watching an episode of Law and Order and I was like, holy shit, it's the pathologist from LA Noire. Like, it was just so well done that, like, it felt like you were watching a movie but playing. It was such a good game too.
Well, one of the coolest cameos I think John Noble, Walter Bishop's ever done, I think, was in The Boys when he played Butcher's dad. That was amazing.
Yeah. He's just awesome. I love that guy.
And he's just such a different character to Walter Bishop. It was like the Bizarro World version.
But he's so, I mean, and I've seen him in other things where he's like just so malevolent. And it's like, oh, no, how?
yeah, Walter. Yeah. Lord of the Rings, when he played the weird king bloke in Minas Tirith.
I don't remember it.
Oh,
I've seen it.
He jumped. He's the one that, like, I think he caught fire or something and runs and jumps off the edge of the top of the castle.
No, I have a terrible memory for stuff. Stuff goes in and it just comes right back out.
Particularly for fantasy, I think it is. Like, you're not that into fantasy, are you?
I've watched Lord of the Rings, but it's not something that I haven't rewatched it or. Yeah, I just forget a lot of shit, which makes watching other shows again not bad, because it's like, oh, this is like new for the first time all over again.
Hang on, so while you're taking the piss out of me for forgetting what I'm saying every 5 minutes and forgetting entire conversations that we have, and then you're sitting there with your bad memory.
Here's the thing, though. I'm going to rebut this. I remember conversations because those are important. That's a person-to-person connection. I don't remember what I see on TV.
You take your ableist bullshit out of here.
It's just a two-dimension fairy tale.
But it's fairy tales that tell us so much about who we are.
How so?
Because the way that fairy tales are constructed is just such, like, the mythologies are often thousands of years old and they've been passed down through oral tradition, and then the stories keep the same structures and the same archetypes, and it just tells you so much about the nature of life and the meaning of being a human. And
there are also a lot of lessons. I mean, they were used to impart lessons into people, like urban legends back in the day. Yeah, they were like pretty much all around telling women just don't do anything.
Yeah. You just want to be careful.
Everywhere, all the time, constantly.
You got to know your limits, you know?
Anywho, so your question was, is there a show that you started watching specifically for a shallow reason that ended up being one of your favorite shows? What is your example of that?
Well, my one would be Yildiz Treibel, a German actress who I saw in the Netflix show Dark, which is one of the coolest time travel sci-fi shows I've ever seen. And I just really liked the character so much. I thought the actress was great and she's really beautiful. And so I thought, I'll just watch this other show that she's in, Babylon Berlin. And that was literally the only reason why I watched it, because I just thought, she's in something else I haven't seen. And then, it was just one of my favorite shows now. It's 2 seasons long. And it's about the lost generation between World War I and World War II during the Weimar Republic in Germany. And so the Nazis are on the cusp of taking power. And so it's like the main character, she's like a flapper girl in, what you call them, like the swing clubs and stuff, the swing music. And then she's basically just scrabbling to make ends meet. So she has like her night job is a flapper, and then her day job is helping a police detective in the local police department solve crimes.
So a nice light comedy.
Yeah.
That sounds very deep.
Yeah, it's a really fucking good show, and there's just so much going on, but not in a really confused and convoluted way. It's just that they show all these different aspects of day-to-day life in that period of time and the kind of struggles that people were going through. And we have it so fucking easy now by comparison. And, you know.
But we still bitch and moan.
Yeah. And the actress, Yildiz Treibel, so in Dark, she's playing headmistress of the local school where some kids have been going missing. And so the whole premise of the show is her son's disappeared. Nobody can find him and nobody knows where he's gone, and they need to figure out what the fuck's going on. But anyway, her journey through that is about being a mother. She's left her husband and all this other stuff. And her older kids have grown up and she's just trying to find her younger son. And then that's just her own personal arc. That's just one story in the whole.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And then in Babylon Berlin, she plays this doctor who's also a communist, and starts like, you know, helping the revolutionaries and stuff, and then ends up going to prison. But yeah,
shows. I started watching Sneaky Pete on Netflix because I have a crush on Giovanni Ribisi.
Giovanni Ribisi, who's that?
He's a fantastic actor. I'm trying to think. He was in a really, really cute movie called The Dog Problem that I think Scott Kahn wrote and maybe wrote and directed and was in or whatever. But I can't think of anything else he's been in. I think he was either in one of either The Pacific or Band of Brothers, one of those two.
I know who you mean now. He was in Friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I never watched Friends, but I know he played
shit.
Phoebe's. His sister, his twin sister, was married to Beck and was the redhead in Dazed and Confused.
Oh wow!
But he's like, I think he's a fantastic actor and he's easy on the eyes. So when I saw that he was on Sneaky Pete, I'm like, oh, I'll give that a shot. And I couldn't get into the story.
You couldn't get into the story.
No, like I watched it and I was like, oh, that's all right. And then I just kind of like, it left my head. Although, so way back in the day, I started watching Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place because when I saw the ads for it, a young Ryan Reynolds was in it, and I had never seen him in anything else before. And I was like, he's cute. I'm going to watch this show. So it was a good show. Like it was a funny show. And then I think it was like season 2 or 3, they brought in Nathan Fillion. And then I was like, hi there. So he's the reason I started watching Castle. He's a combination of why I watched Firefly, because I mean, it was also Joss Whedon, but Nathan Fillion, and he was in a few episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But yes, I will. Up until his recent venture, I would have said I'd watch anything that he's in, but he did another show he's doing a show now called Rookie. I'm like, I don't want to do another. Yeah, well, it's just, I haven't even given it a chance because I'm like, I don't want to watch another cop show.
Yeah. I think the premise sounded quite cool. Particularly if you've ever been in like being older and having a career change like that sounded quite cool. Yeah,
it's the cop show thing. Like there are some shows that occasionally I can get into a cop show, but I feel like I've watched a lot of them. I'm done. I cannot get into medical dramas.
Well, not even like House?
No, couldn't get House, ER, Grey's Anatomy. No, there was so a couple medical comedies I watched. I think it was in the 80s. It was called ER with Elliot Gould, a young Elliot Gould. Have you seen Ocean's 11?
Probably. I don't remember who it is. I'll look him up.
You may recognize him. So a young Elliot Gould in the show called ER, which was a medical comedy, which is hilarious. And then I did enjoy Scrubs for a few seasons.
Oh, yeah. For a few seasons, it was good.
Yeah.
It's a bit self-righteous for me now, though.
I haven't watched it the last couple of seasons, but I do follow actors like Mandy Patinkin.
He's good.
I sit through his like commercials for whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. Like I'll watch him in a commercial. Like I
can't remember the last time I watched a commercial.
I just love him. He's on TikTok.
Oh, is he? Oh.
His son, I think it's his son, manages his account, like does all the stuff.
I find it a bit interesting because he's somebody that, like, I was reading about an interview with him once, and he was saying that, I think on his reflections of his career, he said that when he was younger, he was such a dickhead to work with and really difficult. And I think he was saying that, like, that's one of the things that he'd probably change or alter or just try and do a bit better if he had to do his life again. Because he just said he was such a jackass on set.
But I thought, I mean, I don't follow news about him, but I thought like he was also difficult later years too. I don't know if that's true. But his TikTok, like he did one video where it was just kind of like, let's meditate together. So you meditate with Mandy Patinkin. And then he was going away. And so he recorded, apparently he does like a prayer with his dog when he feeds his dog. So he recorded it so that his son could like let the dog listen to it before he ate. And I'm like,
that's adorable.
That.
Yeah.
I love that.
But I think it just shows that being a human isn't straightforward. Like, and I think that people, particularly on TikTok, expect you to be the one person all the time, constantly in every scenario of your life. But people like, I mean, well, you know about your own life that we're all a bit more complicated than that. We have different personalities in different scenarios. But people like Mandy Patinkin are a really good example of it, that in his home life with his friends or family, you know, he's warm, kind, generous, considerate, and then he could be a dickhead at work, but that's work. Work is different. That's 1/3 of your life.
I mean, there's a lot of nuance to people's personalities, and like, it's what you show versus what other people see, right?
Yeah.
Like if I'm not going to record a TikTok if I'm in a super shitty mood, and I'm not going to let that come out. I'm not going to do a podcast if I'm in a super shit. Like, I'm not going to be here belligerent and angry. Like, but at work, if I'm frustrated at work, that may slip out a little bit unintentionally or intentionally or whatever. But that's a 3-minute video or a 40-minute podcast is not a day in the life.
Yeah, exactly. So,
because once I leave here, I just beat the shit out of those dogs all day.
Yeah.
Which fictional place would you most like to go?
Probably none of them. They're all horrific.
Well,
maybe I think there's a lot of places in Star Trek I'd like to visit, but there's a certain unreality about them. That like the dangers aren't as present as in other fictional worlds. You know, I wouldn't want to go to Middle Earth.
Well, do you remember that episode of Star Trek Next Generation where I think they were on shore leave, so they go to that place where yes, and then like idiot Wesley doesn't see where he's going and like crashes through glass, and then they're like, oh well, we have to execute him because he crossed the border. They're like, he didn't know.
Oh, which planet was that?
I don't know. Everyone was wearing white, but like skimpy white outfits.
Okay.
And Riker loved it because when they got there, like these beautiful women were like, hi, and giving him hugs. And he was just like, hey, girl, what's up? But yeah, I forget what it was, but they had very specific boundary rules. So if there was like a fence there, you couldn't pass the fence. Otherwise, if any transgression, you would be executed.
Oh, wow. That sounds like The Giver, actually.
3 strikes.
Yeah, 3 strikes and you're out.
You are out. And so pick.
Go on.
I was going to ask you to pick a fictional world. Get back to the question. Focus.
Sorry. Oh shit, that's actually a really hard question. I think sometimes I would have liked to have seen Cardassia Prime on from Star Trek, because even though it was quite a dictatorial society and quite totalitarian, quite militaristic, there was a lot of history and depth to them that they were quite proud of. And I've always found the Cardassians the most interesting alien species in Star Trek.
Really?
Yeah. Where would you go?
I don't know.
Fuck's sake.
Like Oz would be nice, especially after they got rid of the witch. Like that's probably be a nice place to go.
Narnia.
I mean, yeah, they took care of the witch thing too, but it's snowed a lot there. And then, but would you, if you were to go to Narnia, would it be like in the movie? Like, would you have the option to come back? And then when you do, even though you've been there for 30 years, you come back the same age? Like, would it be that?
Well, if I'm going to Narnia, that is how it works. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would do that too.
Yeah.
I would, yeah.
And it was only snowing during the reign of the Ice Queen.
That's true.
It was fine after that.
I don't like Turkish Delight as a candy, though. And that seems pretty, I have texture issues. It's just like gummy.
Texture issues. Are you autistic?
No, it's mostly with gelatin stuff.
Okay.
Like, don't really care for Jell-O, and like, I don't know if you've ever seen like they have these like pies that had like a bunch of fruit on top, and to keep the fruit in place, they like cover it in a layer of gelatin.
Oh yeah, I don't like that. Yeah, it's gross.
It is.
It's vile. Have you ever had squid?
Yes, I love squid.
No, but have you ever had like not the tentacle bit, the bulb bit?
Oh, only as calamari, like sliced up and deep fried.
Oh no, I had when I was in Greece. My mate's mum cooked it for dinner, and I didn't know what it was. And then so she gave it out, and there was like it's basically the bulb with the frill bit around the edge, and it's stuffed full of really nice just food, like kind of thing.
That sounds good, though.
Sorry.
That sounds good.
It was really good, except because I'd never I knew it was squid by that point, and then I cut it up, and then because I'd never eaten that before. I didn't know that you had to kind of eat it in a certain way in your mouth. So my first mouthful made me gag because I put it in, went to bite down, and then the chunk of squid just flew from one side of the mouth to the other.
Well, it's like some squid and like octopus.
Yeah.
Gotta cook it just right, or it gets rubbery. Like when calamari as squid is not cooked right, it's just like having a mouthful of rubber bands. And like my mom makes octopus, which is amazing. And like you either cook it for 10 minutes or you cook it for like an hour. Like there's no,
no in between. No,
but someone will tell us there is in the comments, I'm sure.
Yeah. At least it's engagement.
That's true.
I'd eat most things, and like this squid was done pretty well. I just wasn't prepared for having to kind of like use my tongue a bit more assertively while I was eating it.
It's a good way to put it. Speaking of other, what game universe would you like to be in?
Oh, blimmin' heck. They're all kind of horrific. Particularly the games I play. I'm not going to go to Tristram in Diablo.
I'm not going to Rapture in Bioshock. That would be terrible.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Although, I mean, like a Grand Theft Auto.
But there's still consequences there.
Well, yes, but it's more, I guess it would be more like a realistic, like if I was plopped into a Grand Theft Auto game, I feel like it would be easier to get used to because I'd have to be just as wary and just as careful and like whatever as I would here versus if I were plunked into Rapture. I'd be like, what?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah. So yeah, I think it would be an easier transition.
Yeah. There is one game I've played called Frostpunk, and it's basically like a new Ice Age, in like a steampunk version of the future.
That's cool.
Yeah, and then basically you got to try and make survival happen based in this little community that huddles around this generator. And then you got to keep the generator running, and the city, basically the tagline is the city must survive, and all else doesn't matter. So like
What's
you could
called?
Frostpunk. It's a strategy game. PC. They might have it on other things too.
Okay. Did you ever play Left 4 Dead?
Yes. Yeah.
That's not the world I would want to go to ever.
No. Oh, when you had to walk past what were they? The witches. And you can go.
Yeah, like my husband and I would play together, although like he'd be in the basement, I'd be upstairs, we'd be on our earbuds, like, okay, where are you? Where are you going? What's happening? So cool. We'd hear her and then be like, whoop. Do you see her? Do you see her? Like it was like just a real person. You see her? You see her?
I used to like because some of my mates used to get really heavily invested in these games, and so be like, oh my god, I can hear her, and then they get all shitting themselves. Like, quick, sneak past her. So I just run in and just shoot it and wake it up and piss everyone off.
No, that was the worst. And then there was I think it was the second one. They had like the one that was like, I forget what they called them.
Vomit
like,
on you, or did
yeah. The one that would vomit on you, and then like the smell of vomit would like bring everybody else.
Yeah.
Ugh. Oh, hi there. Are you looking for a fun pair of glasses because you don't have your own personality? What? Well, hi there. Are you looking for some fun glasses to showcase your unique style and personality? That was better? That was a good one? Okay. And you should go to zlul.com. Whether it's your personality or someone else's you want to show off, you'll find glasses at Zlul for incredibly low prices. And you can use my promo code to get even more of a save. GVizzle, save 8. What topic do you wish you knew more about? What one topic do you wish? Because I know you're going to try to put a laundry list of items together. One.
Psychology.
That's your field of study, though. What's preventing you from learning more about that?
Time. You can't possibly learn everything.
No.
I mean,
any type of psychology? Any particular psychologist that you want to delve deeper into?
No, all of it. I want to know all of psychology. I love it. That's my favorite thing.
That's nice.
Yeah. You could be my second favorite.
I'm fine with top 10. Don't worry about me. What did you think you would grow out of, but you never did?
Hang on, you didn't answer the question.
Everything.
Huh? Oh, everything.
It's hard to narrow down to one thing. Like I really enjoy certain things that I would like to matrix knowledge into my head about, but I don't want to take the time to like learn those.
Yes.
Those things.
Which
So
that came from, I think, Joe Knighty, wasn't it? Was the whole download the knowledge into your brain. I think Joe Knighty did that first, one of those Thunderbirds type programs.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You don't know Joe Knighty? I never saw it, but even I know what it is. It's about this kid who was like a spy of some kind or something, and he could do cool shit. And then if he had to go on an operation, and then he'd download all the things he needed to do the operation. Matrix.
Oh, first time I saw that was Matrix. You know what I would like from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? I would like the translation fish. That would be super cool to have.
The Babelfish.
Yes. I thought it was called Babelfish, but then I was like, no, isn't that a website? But
that's where they got the name from.
But they stole the name from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Languages would be a good one. I would like to know more languages. I mean, I would say fluent-ish in Portuguese. Like there's lots of words that I still, to my mom, will be like, what is this Portuguese word for this? And I can read it, but I can't write it. My husband's family is French, and I can kind of get by in French, but not amazingly. Like I would love to be able to pick up languages faster and easier.
Yeah, I find languages really hard. I think part of that's related to my autism, that I find languages so spectacularly hard to learn. It takes me a long time to figure them out. And because of information processing speeds, I find it, because English is my native language, it's quicker for me to figure out what you're saying. But I still have to have some extra processing things going in my head to find out what you mean sometimes, not you personally, other humans. So like when I'm trying to learn German, which I've been learning on and off for years, I still don't know like more than one or two words in every 100 if somebody's speaking it at me at this speed. It's fucking hard.
Language is fucking hard. Like, yeah, like my husband's family is, I mean, we don't practice, right? And it's very much a use it or lose it. Like my husband's family is French, but my husband and I don't practice French at home. And part of that is because it was so different. Like his French is Quebec French. They're from Northern Quebec, so it's very different. It's kind of very slangy, where the French that they teach us in school is like France French. So not that there's like, it's not that he couldn't understand France French and vice versa, but like the words that I learned would not be words that they would use colloquially. So it makes it difficult, because then he'll try to correct me on stuff. And I'm like, no, but that's how, like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you know what I mean? Just let me say it.
Or like, if it's going to be a tomato situation, just let me have it. Like,
yeah. But I used to work with this woman who was like multilingual, and it was insane. So we were standing in the corridor one day having a conversation in English. Her native language was Spanish. And then, so she just normal, but back and forth. And then somebody walks past, they have the conversation in Spanish, and she comes back and speaks to me. No switching. Like she just, like as if she was speaking the same language, that she would just flip. And then somebody came along and started speaking French, and they're having a French conversation 2 seconds after speaking Spanish and English. And then she married this bloke from Lithuania, and they moved to Germany. And then before she went, she spent a few months learning German. And before she got there, she was conversational.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like we had a German mate, and she was having conversations with them at this house party, practicing her German with them at this house party. And I was like, how long have you been learning that? She's like, 3 months.
What an aptitude for language. That's amazing.
Yeah. And then apparently it's because the younger that you learn a second language, the better you are at learning languages. And the more languages you are that you do and become conversational in, the easier it is for you to learn more. And
I wonder, would it make a difference if the languages were in that same kind of like family of languages? Like if they were Latin-based languages versus, because I mean, even though I was born in Canada, like my parents at the time only spoke Portuguese. So I didn't really learn English fluently until I went to school. Because like my mom used to put me with the neighbor next door to babysit me when I was a toddler. And then the neighbor would my mom would call on her breaks and lunch to check in. And the neighbor would be like, what does toilet mean? What's toilet? And mom's like, she wants a towel. Just give her a towel.
Oh, that's so cute.
So like I learned, but then in school, I think they taught us French. I think they started in like grade 5. So like I was able to pick up French pretty easily, and I took it all the way through school, but then I stopped using it. So gone. Like Kaiser Sose, it's gone. I lost the question because what did you think you would grow out of but never did?
Drinking milk.
That's fair.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people who just sit down with a glass of milk, so
Yeah, I fucking love it.
Good for you.
Yeah. The less PC one is probably wanking.
You thought you'd grow out of that one, really?
Yeah. I was naive. I was young. I just thought you just grew out of it.
Oh, okay.
Well, I didn't have sex education at school, did I? So.
That's fair. I still laugh at fart jokes.
Yeah. They are fucking hilarious.
They really are.
Yeah. You can't beat a good fart.
Zool farted on me the other day. I think I told you I could feel it.
Yeah.
Right on my arm. And then I was like lying, I was like this on the sofa, so I felt it. And then a second later, I was like, taste it.
Haven't farted on another person since, just so you know.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I did grow out of that one.
You should put that in your dating profile if you ever get to that point.
Yeah.
If you find yourself single again, haven't farted on anyone in a while is a good selling feature.
Starting a bit early, aren't you, on the rosé?
No, this is, I ran out of Mio.
If that's what you want to say, if that's what you want to tell yourself.
I don't drink rosé. I'm a red.
I like all of them, but red's my favorite.
Red is my favorite. Although I do enjoy a nice cold white on like a summer.
Yeah.
Because red is just, I mean, if it's hot outside, you don't want a room temperature beverage.
No.
Although we discovered Aperol Spritz. So my girlfriends and I, every year we do a book club. And our Christmas party is a pajama party. And we do our gifts is like a favorite things gift. So you just kind of like throughout the year, we just kind of collect our favorite things, put it in a box, and then we play a game. And so the one that I ended up with, I think it was 2 years ago, had a kit for Aperol Spritz, which is a bottle of Aperol and a bottle of Prosecco. And then you add club soda to it and an orange slice. And it is a fucking delicious summer beverage.
What is Aperol?
I have no idea. It's an alcohol.
Oh, okay, I'll look at that.
It's an orange alcohol. Like it's a pretty vibrant orange. I don't know what the base of it is. I'd have to Google it.
So I could Google it later.
But it's a delicious summer beverage.
And that was a memorable gift.
No, that's not the gift I was talking to you about. You sidetracked about this.
Oh, okay. I sidetracked.
Yeah, because I took a sip of my tasty water beverage and you accused me of drinking rosé at 10 o'clock in the morning.
I'll accuse you of alcoholism. Takes one to know one.
This is not an intervention. This is a fucking podcast. Stick to the desk.
Yes, boss.
Stick to the task. What irrational fear do you have?
I don't have any. Do you have any?
Drowning.
That's not irrational though. Like
I don't. I mean, unless I drown in the bathtub, because I very rarely go swimming. Actually, no. We do when we go camping. We do like go canoeing and kayaking. So I guess it is. Maybe it's not irrational.
But irrational fears come from somewhere. Like there's usually, and then sometimes I think people kind of use the word wrongly, but like it's not a fear.
I mean, it would be highly unpleasant. I don't want to die painfully.
Yeah, I don't want to die painfully. And also, if you drown though, like you're kind of doing yourself out of the best high of your life if you don't want to drown, because the moments before death, if you're drowning or suffocating, is absolute euphoria, supposedly.
Yeah, but
your
then
body
what?
just well, then you're dead, but like your body just lets go, and then you die. So it's probably good out of all the ways to
but
go.
Then it's not. No, I disagree, because then you have like 2 seconds of euphoria, but it's not like you can do anything with that or tell you. It's not like you wake up in the afterlife and you're like, man, that was a good feeling. No, you're just fucking.
It's better than, but I mean, so out of all the ways to die, it's better than slitting your wrist, or it's better off jumping off a building. It's better than being shot.
Who is that? Where did we go to here and to like suicide and murder? Like,
no, I just think all the ways to die, like a heart attack.
And that would be unpleasant, but like a nice, just kind of going in your sleep.
Oh, that's preferable. Utterly preferable. But if you had to be awake, drowning's the best.
Then it would. No, I disagree because it takes a while.
Yeah, true.
Like it would if I'm gonna be awake, I need it to be fast.
Drowning does take a few minutes. So.
It does take time, and then you're aware of it the entire time that it's happening.
Yeah, and then the panic sets in.
Yeah. So no, if I was gonna be awake for it, it would have to be very fast.
Yeah, which it rarely is.
Well, I don't want to jinx anything.
But,
what do you hope your last words will be? Look at this. No.
Hold my beer.
Watch. Look what I can do.
Yeah. Oh, would you like
clear my history?
Yeah, or just like, oh, thank fuck it's over.
No, I would want to leave if I can. I would want to say something like completely out of left field that would like make people wonder for decades. Like, yes. What did she mean? Yeah. What did she mean? That would be good.
It's not yours. Something like that.
What's not mine?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one. Or like, I buried it in the backyard.
Oh no, the best one would be like for something like that would be don't look at something or don't touch something because it'll be overwhelming. They'll have to look at it or touch it or move it or dig it up. Don't dig up the backyard.
That is true because I saw this video where someone was talking about like the psychology of things, and one of them was that in this house there was always like a piece of tape over a light switch. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Where it's like
you sent it to
touch
me.
And pardon?
I think you sent it to me.
I think maybe I did. Where it was like because that was there, they were constantly flicking that light switch. Where if they had not pointed it out,
no one would have noticed.
Would have touched it.
Yeah, Darren Brown did this whole thing on like he got people into this experiment that he was doing where do you know who Darren Brown is? Oh, okay, I'll show you later. Anyway, and he had the thing of like the challenge was this person had to sit there for like 45 minutes or whatever and not press this red button because it's like if you press that button, that animal in the box is going to die, something like that. And then most of them couldn't resist it. They had to press the button, and it was completely involuntary. They just had to. But
they knew it was going to cause an animal to die.
I think it was an animal to die. I can't remember. I think it was something like that.
It's like the one they did with the kids, where like they told kids, if you can sit here with this, I think it was like a marshmallow.
Yes.
Yeah, like if you can sit here and not eat this marshmallow for 15 minutes, then you'll get 2 marshmallows.
Yeah.
And then like half the kids are like,
most of the kids actually, most of them just go.
So there was one dude on TikTok. Her daughter loves Bubba, like the bubble tea. And so she was like doing an experiment where she left and she was like, she put it in front of her daughter and she was like, don't drink the Bubba. And then she left. And then you see her daughter like battling some inner demons. She's like, don't drink it. Don't drink. And then she comes out and then just the mom's like, did you drink it? She's like, nope. So then she gave it to her. But like you can see the moment of like her mom leaves and she's staring at it. And she's like, don't drink the Bubba. It was adorable.
That's amazing.
Adorable. We have a light switch in our house that I don't know what it does. I flick it constantly. What does this do? What does this do? There's probably someone's house down the street where they're like, why are the lights?
Or someone getting electric shocks in their living room chair.
Meanwhile, we're like, what does this do?
Oh, that's amazing.
That was my last question for you, sir.
Okay.
Fade to black.
Nice of you to assume I don't have any questions for you, but okay, I guess we're
do you?
No.
I know who I'm dealing with.
What's that meant to me?
This is my first fucking rodeo. show up unprepared, all with your like Tory porn stories that you've already told me before.